Good day, everyone, again. Thank you for joining this session of the GHC Connect webinar series. I am Shin Jinho, Medical Officer at the WHO Regional Office for the Western Pacific based in Manila, Philippines. Today, we will dive into the concept of National Regulatory Authority material levels and explore how WHO list authority performance is evaluated, especially in the context of clinical trials oversight. Let's get started. In this session, we will answer two main questions. First, what are the WHO global benchmarking tool indicators, sub-indicators for clinical trials oversight? Second, what indicators and tools are used to evaluate WLA performance in clinical trials oversight? By the end, you will have a clear understanding of how regulatory maturity and performance are measured and why these matter for clinical trials. Let's begin by looking at the WHO GBT indicators specifically designed for assessing clinical trials oversight. These indicators provide a structured way to evaluate how regulatory authorities oversee clinical trials, ensuring safety, ethics, and scientific rigor. The maturity of a national regulatory authority is defined through benchmarking using the WHO GBT. The current version is 6. So what's being measured by GBT? Essentially, we assess how well a regulatory system is set up and operates. There are 4 maturity levels, ML1 to ML4, each with increasing requirements and complexity. For example, to reach maturity level 3, an authority must meet 211 sub-indicators. Achieving higher maturity levels means better performance and readiness for challenges like public health emergencies. The GBT covers 9 regulatory functions, each with its own set of sub-indicators across the 4 maturity levels. For example, clinical trials oversight has 30 sub-indicators focusing on authorization, ethics, and reporting. Other functions include registration, vigilance, market surveillance, licensing of establishment, inspections, laboratory testing, and NRA lot release. Each function has key focus areas such as legal frameworks, transparency, and risk management. This comprehensive approach helps authorities identify strengths and gaps in their systems. The core purpose of clinical trials oversight is to protect the rights, safety, and well-being of participants. Oversight aligns with global standards like the Declaration of Helsinki, the Nuremberg Code, WHO, and ICH GCP guidelines. It's also about ensuring data integrity, making sure research is scientifically valid and free from fraud. Strong oversight empowers regulatory authorities to manage trials effectively, and especially during public health emergencies. Ultimately, this builds public trust in clinical research and ensures medical innovations are safe and effective. The WHO GBT outlines 8 key indicators for clinical trials oversight, covering everything from legal frameworks to emergency preparedness. These indicators help authorities ensure ethical standards, scientific validity, and regulatory compliance. By using these, countries can spot areas for improvement and strengthen their oversight capacity. The first indicator, CTO1, focuses on legal provisions, regulations, and guidelines that define the regulatory framework for clinical trials oversight. This includes requirements for NRA authorization, protocol amendments, GCP and GMP compliance, and the authority to inspect or stop trials. Having a strong legal foundation is essential for effective oversight and international recognition. CTO1 also covers the need for independent ethics committees, rules for importing or destroying investigational products, and requirements for monitoring adverse events. Guidelines should specify the format and content of trial applications and allow for recognition of decisions from other authorities. These elements ensure that oversight is comprehensive and adaptable. CTO2 looks at how oversight activities are organized and governed. There should be a clear structure with defined responsibilities and procedures to ensure all stakeholders are involved and informed. Good governance supports transparency and accountability. CTO3 emphasizes the importance of having enough competent staff with the right education, training, experience. Roles and responsibilities should be clearly defined, and ongoing training is essential. Keeping records of staff training helps maintain high standards. CTO4 is about having documented and implemented procedures for all aspects of clinical trials oversight. This includes access to advisory committees, the role of ethics committees, and consistent evaluation policies. Standard procedures ensure fairness and scientific rigor. CTO5 focuses on mechanisms to promote transparency and communication. For example, funding sources for ethics committees should be clear, and lists of approved or rejected trials should be publicly available or recorded in databases. Transparency builds trust with the public and stakeholders. CTO6 is about monitoring regulatory performance and outputs. Authorities should maintain internal databases of all trials, establish performance indicators, and require progress reports from sponsors. Timelines for application assessments and tracking systems help ensure efficiency. Now, let's shift to performance evaluation of WLA designation. Is your NRA aiming for WLA status? What challenges do you face? The evaluation uses specific indicators and audit tools to assess regulatory functions and ensure robust practices. Both NRA maturity and WLA status are measured using GBT indicators and performance evaluation tools. For WLA, there are 56 indicators, including 36 mature level 4 indicators and 20 performance evaluation indicators. Tools include expert reviews, field visits, and audits across 5 regulatory functions. Achieving WLA status is a mark of regulatory excellence. The standard performance evaluation process includes auditing against indicators and evaluating selected regulatory functions using PE tools. This involves expert reviews, field visits, and audits of application assessments and inspections, in particular GMP and GCP. The goal is to ensure authorities meet international standards. For clinical trials oversight, WLA must fully implement certain ML4 indicators, such as having advisory committees and establishing performance indicators. These requirements are detailed in the WHO Manual for Performance Evaluation. PE indicators for clinical trials oversight include consistent compliance with assessment timelines, public availability of trial application list, providing regulatory support to researchers and sponsors. These indicators help authorities demonstrate transparency and support for innovation. Cross-cutting indicators look at broader regulatory system performance, such as participation in WHO certification schemes, competency frameworks, and quality management systems. Sharing technical information with other authorities is also important for global collaboration. When reviewing clinical trials application assessments, experts evaluate the process, the quality and completeness of our reports, scientific rigor, and decision making. Follow-up on assessments is also considered. This ensures that regulatory decisions are well-founded and transparent. GXP audits assess inspection preparation, conduct, reporting, and technical competency and attitude of inspectors. These audits help maintain high standards in regulatory inspections. To summarize, first, GBT indicators provide a structured framework for assessing regulatory maturity and performance. Second, clinical trials oversight is essential for participants' safety, data integrity, and public trust. Third, WLA status signifies regulatory excellence. Fourth, performance evaluation uses specific indicators and tools to ensure robust practice. Fifth, continuous improvement, capacity building, and collaboration are vital for effective oversight and public health preparedness. Six, collaboration and stakeholder engagement strengthen regulatory systems, supporting effective oversight and preparedness for public health emergencies. For further reading, check out these resources: the WHO Global Benchmarking Tool, the WHO Listed Authorities Initiative, WHO Operational Guidance, and Manuals for Performance Evaluation. Links are provided for your convenience. Thank you for your attention and participation. If you have questions or feedback, feel free to contact me at shinj@hu.int. You can also connect via LinkedIn, WhatsApp, or KakaoTalk. Just scan the QR codes on this slide. Together, we can make regulatory systems stronger and smarter. Your support is vital for pandemic preparedness. Looking forward to continued collaboration. Thank you.